Now crossing over to Nevenka Tromp. She is a professor of Eastern European Studies at the University of Amsterdam. She's also joining us from SREBRENICA. Nevenka, good to have you on. When I was speaking with our correspondent Samir Sejfovic just a moment ago, he mentioned this phrase, genocide denial. It is a huge problem faced on a daily basis by activists, by human rights defenders. Enlighten us on the current situation right now.
Genocide denial has been always cited as the last phase of genocide. And no one is really surprised. Denial is growing as the time passes. And there has been a huge discussion on how to deal with the denial legally. And we have to keep in mind that although law is not omnipotent, the law does change the way people think and certainly the way how people behave. I'm here several days in Bosnia, and I've been told from different sources that there is an attempt to legalize and to criminalize genocide denial, and everyone hopes that this current High Representative for Bosnia and Herzegovina, Valentin Inzko, might end his very long mandate by actually pushing through the law that will criminalize denial of genocide and all other crimes in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And I think not only that it is needed, but is long overdue.
If this happens, how do you think it will affect the healing process?
Healing process is something that will last and it will cross over to the next generation. But what I think is very important for all of us to understand that there is not just genocide denial here in hand, but we have to understand that the political crimes like genocide are also a reflection of political immorality that goes beyond the borders and direct perpetrators in this side, Serb armed forces. Because despite all these commemorations and attention to the healing process, we see that we did not learn a lot from Srebrenica genocide. As we speak, genocide processes are ongoing. And surprisingly or not surprisingly, international community has not found the way to prevent genocide, but even to stop or to hold accountable for genocide crimes those who are still in power. So there is a long way to go, not just for Bosnia, for region of Europe, but the whole world. And this is something that Srebrenica commemoration actually helps us to come together and again reflect what went wrong, but certainly what we can and should improve as international community, not shying away and actually accepting that political morality must be redefined, because not acting in a genocide just reinforces political immorality of all of us in our government and UN.
You know, despite some very high-level prosecutions of the principal architects of the war in Bosnia and Herzegovina, I mean, including Ratko Mladic, and you know, just a couple of weeks ago we were covering the trial, the ICC trial, and Radovan Karadzic, there's still a huge backlog of cases pending before courts in the country. I mean, the two examples that I gave are just the tip of the iceberg. How do you think this is affecting the way the tragic events are being remembered?
It certainly at the beginning had a huge potential, and victims are very much in favor of this way to deal with what happened to them, criminality of mass atrocities. But I have to say that 26 years after Srebrenica and 30 years after the beginning of the war, we have to question our over-reliance to the law. Because, you know, there is not just that this saying, delayed justice is not justice at all. I think that insisting on continuation of legal processes actually shrinks the space of all many other societal initiatives that should have been started in the same time. What I'm talking about, look, the criminal law perpetrator might go to prison if convicted beyond reasonable doubt, but where does it really leave the victims? I see and I talk to people who spent 20 years abroad, victims of genocide. They are now coming back to their old houses, and the struggles they have to encounter just to have a normal lives are enormous. So if you look into impact of international criminal justice to this particular issue, then you see that we have missed so many other mechanisms to make lives of victims of genocide and crimes generally on all sides, actually, by over-reliance to mechanisms that did not really bring that effect that we hoped for.
Well, we hope that things can change in the future then. All right, Nevenka Tromp, live for us from Srebrenica. Thank you very much for joining us here on this special coverage.